G'day from the Hilton Hotel in Aventura, Miami, and what a day it was today. Daniel Ricciardo absolutely killed it in the sprint race, ending up fourth, but later on the day, not so good. So the race started at 12 noon, and by the time he got round turn 2, he was actually in third position. I looked up at the board and thought, whoa, we are in for a ripper of a day here. 19 laps later, he crossed the line in fourth position. In the media pen post-race, he said, fighting towards the front is so much nicer. He had Carlos in his mirrors for much of the race, but he held Carlos at bay and crossed the line fourth, and there was much joy after the race with his team coming down to Parc Ferme, Daniel having to weigh in first, and then he made a beeline for his crew. They weren't huge in numbers, I'm guessing there were about 6 or so, and you could clearly see that he was buzzing after that race. It looks like the new chassis has certainly done its part, and Daniel's driving was exceptional. I had a chat with one of his I was going to say support crew, but it's really one of his friends. And he said Daniel had a small group of people this race to support him, including his girlfriend, Heidi Berger, who arrived at the track with him today. In fact, wearing these yellow sunnies that Daniel had picked up at a function the night prior. So having finished fourth, there was much excitement in the paddock as to whether or not he could do even better in qualifying later in the afternoon. At 4 p.m, the pit lights went green, and all the cars filed out. And how did Daniel do in qualifying? Bloody awful. 17th. It's such a huge difference from the morning to the afternoon. I followed him back to the TV media pen where he was explaining what had happened. Not that I could hear what was going on. You probably know more than me as to what went wrong. But it was just a roller coaster ride, and that's what one of his crew said to me earlier in the day. Daniel realises that F1 is a roller coaster, unless you're Max Verstappen, but there's only one Max Verstappen. But definitely this is a cruel sport that can put you up on a high in the morning and in the afternoon, clobber you down. I think what it's done for Daniel, though, is shown his team that he indeed can do this. And I think that's going to buy him some time because there has been some talk that Liam Lawson might get that seat. I don't see that happening in the next few weeks. And who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. He may well make up a few places and once again come out with a beaming smile at the end. I certainly hope so, because I think the sport needs Daniel Ricciardo in a car, not behind a microphone. Let's go back to that sprint race, because I was at turn 1 photographing the field as they went round. I was perhaps a little bit tight on the action when the cars came towards me, and then I followed, and I don't know why I picked Lando to follow around, but luckily I did, because I managed to get this picture of Lando. Well, when I say this picture, I got 9/10 of his car in the air after he had that collision. And when I was photographing, I had no idea that he'd been turned around. It was only when I panned further to the left that I saw his car facing the opposite direction and off the track. And then he got out of his car, he walked across the track and down pit lane. And I understand that there is an investigation going on now into that particular incident. It is very similar to what happened with Lewis Hamilton in Qatar last year, where he too walked across the track. But am I right in thinking there's a huge fine for this? I've just done my homework, and indeed, yes, he did get a fine. He got a fine of €50,000, which is suspended until the Briton commits a similar offence. So really, it's a warning. And what should he have done? Well, I understand he should have got off the track on the same side of it that he crashed on, which meant he would have been on the outside of the track and probably not have been able to get back to his garage for quite some time, perhaps 20, or probably the end of the race, given that it's only a short race. I'm not sure what it is about Miami, but it certainly attracts the partners. And today, I think we had pretty much just about everyone's partner in attendance. George Russell arrived with his girlfriend, Carmen. I loved her top. I thought it was very classy. Kelly Piquet was also in pit lane. No pictures to speak of. Charles Leclerc arrived with Alexandra, his girlfriend. Rebecca Donaldson was at the track. Actually, I saw both her and Alexandra in the paddock. Rebecca goes out with Carlos. Fernando Alonso arrived with his girlfriend, Melissa Jimenez, with his sister Lorena and Lorena's daughter, along with his mum, Anna. That's the first time I've seen his mum at the track. Pierre Gasly's girlfriend Kika was with him, although I didn't get a photo of them as they came in today. Nico Hulkenberg's wife Egle is also with us, or Sunny as she's better known to her friends and family. And interestingly, Tiffany Cromwell came in with Valtteri today, And I asked them about these fans that I photographed the other day. I said, did you realise these people were out there? And they said, yes, they are super fans. We have met them. We can confirm their status as super fans, and they are lovely people. I also believe those shirts are pretty inexpensive to get. Perhaps I should get them, but at the moment all I have is bucket hats. And this, the blue one, there's still some of those left for pre-order. They haven't actually been made yet, but they're being made shortly. And this is the grey. Both of them available at kimillman.com. Oh, I nearly forgot. Mick Schumacher had his girlfriend Layla Hasanovic with him today. I saw Liam Lawson today and we talked about the fact there's only 3 of his signed prints left. But we haven't seen his girlfriend at the track yet. Hannah St. John is her name. At some point, I'm sure she will turn up at a track. Now, given that you probably weren't in the paddock today, let me tell you some of the people that I came across. Patrick Mahomes is one of them. Now, probably that'll mean something to about 30% of you watching. But Patrick Mahomes is indeed a big name in sports here in this country. He is the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, and he was with his wife, Brittany. Very elegant dresses, these two. I photographed Patrick and his wife before, but today they were very much in demand, big security presence around them. But I did manage to get a few shots of the pair. Ed Sheeran was here, but I can't show you any photos of Ed because I missed him. And yesterday, Kendall Jenner actually went for a hot lap with Lewis Hamilton. Now, I imagine that must be something special to go for a lap with a 7-time world champion. And I photographed Kendall's mother going back to a race in Monaco, going back a few years ago now. While we're on the subject of Lewis, let me tell you about his outfit today. It was something special. A whole lot of reflective mylar discs on a pants and jacket suit. However, the shot I needed was when Lewis was in the sun, but unfortunately, this cameraman walked the entire length of the paddock in Lewis's face. Now that is very poor form, and a number of photographers actually chipped him about it. Normally, we'll wear the fact that he might walk for 30 or 40 metres, but 100? Taking up all of our shots? There was great anger amongst the photographers, and I'll be very keen to see if he makes that mistake again. Oh, and the network? DAZN. F1 at the moment is looking to get more and more women involved in the sport, and one of those women who's been at the forefront is Ruth Buscombe, who was a strategist, and I say was a strategist at Stake, Kick Sauber F1 team. She resigned at the end of last year, and I was delighted and surprised to see that she's turned up this year as a strategist for Formula One TV. She certainly knows her stuff, and she has the same degree that Hannah Schmitz has from Red Bull. Other things I saw in the paddock today, we had Gunther Steiner arrive with his lovely wife Gertrude and daughter Greta. And I note that Greta's wearing a Palm Angels t-shirt, and Palm Angels was a sponsor of Haas, Gunther's ex-team. You're probably aware that I do features on Instagram, watches of the paddock, men of the paddock, women of the paddock, handbags of the paddock. Yes, handbags. And I saw one yesterday that blew my mind. This one here is a €34,000 handbag. It's a Birkin from Hermes. Somebody asked me what material it was, and I asked my son's girlfriend, Bree, to do some homework. She tells me it's just canvas for €32,000. And while we're on the subject of high-end goods, have a look at the watch that Patrick Mahomes was wearing today. This beautiful Rolex. And were the date and day correct? Well, you got half right. It was Saturday, but unfortunately it was not the 6th. But is that as impressive as this Breitling, which I gather is only available to those who have bought a Bentley? And for lunch, what did I have? Well, I ventured down to the F1 garage. This is a facility that will set you back probably $20,000 to $30,000 for the 3-day ticket. But my gosh, the food you'll eat is something special. And Gary Cutliff is the chef, and he made me this stunningly presented and extremely tasting dish of shaved melon and scallops. It's a cold dish, and I can tell you that I've seldom eaten something so spectacular. And if you're lucky enough to get that particular dish when you go to the F1 garage, I think you too will give it a 9.6 out of 10. Oh, and there's also a little moist towelette ceremony that they go through where they take these compressed towelettes and they put them into this solution which has ginger and something else in it. such that when you wipe your hands and face with it, it's stunningly scented. Another thing today, we had good numbers up in the upper rafters of the stadium, going absolutely crazy for anyone of note that walked into that stadium area. We get similar reactions, but on a much smaller scale, say in Brazil, where the crowd sit just above the TV media pen, but there's certainly not several thousand like there is in this particular stadium. It's something that really stands this race out from anything else. Briefly, I want to tell you about this helmet. This is Esteban Ocon's helmet, and the gentleman holding this is the man behind Orlinsky. Now, I know Orlinsky because I have been to a couple of French Grand Prix where they have these huge works of art up near the podium. It's impressive. Oh, and should I mention how qualifying went? Well, it went to plan for Max Verstappen, of course, taking out pole position, Charles Leclerc second, and his teammate Carlos Sainz in third. Now, what are my thoughts on the Miami Grand Prix so far? It's been hellishly hard work, there's no doubt about that. Hot, humid, but the fans seem to be quite excited. Although I did note that the moment quali finished, the stands were absolutely emptied very quickly. I'm not sure what to read into that, but I quite like the Hard Rock Stadium as a background for some of our images. I think it's interesting, and shooting a little bit wider, like in these shots here, means that you can certainly place this particular track. Another thing that made me laugh today, and I've seen this done before with Nick de Vries, where the V-carb drivers drag in a roller bag. Not that there's anything in there, it's purely a marketing exercise, a publicity stunt. Look, it works because you and I are now talking about this, or at least I'm talking and you're listening about it. But it looks so funny because there's nothing in that roller bag. It's just completely empty with a sign on it. Although to see the sign, it needs to be photographed or videoed from the rear. One of the pains in the arse of travelling all year is laundry, but one of the beauties of this race is that I could drive past this nice coin laundry, that's what it's called, drop my gear off in the morning and pick it up at the end of the day. Good morning. I've got this bag of laundry. Can you do that today for me? Fluff and fold, please.
That's it?
That's it.
$10.
Beautiful. $10 for a bag of laundry. It's just the best deal. But if you're coming here to do your washing, they only take cash, and luckily I have a little bit in my car here. Oh, and it's not nice coin laundry, it's Nice coin laundry. I actually met the manager tonight when I picked up my laundry, and he's indeed from Nice in France. Now, given I'm recording this on the night of quali, I'm excited about the race tomorrow, although I think unless Max suffers from some mechanical trouble, we'll be seeing him up on the podium. And coming up in the next couple of weeks, I'll do a video about whether or not Max Verstappen is ruining F1. It's an interesting topic because he's such a nice guy to talk to, and he's so brilliant at what he does, but many of us think that the sport is losing its appeal because it is just so predictable when it comes to a Sunday result, with the exception of the Australian race, of course. Now, I imagine you've probably got to go to kimelman.com to get the blue or the grey, or both, bucket hats before they sell out. And for a whole lot of extra content, check this out. Thanks for watching.
And stay passionate.
That I realised, oh, well, shut the why doesn't this work?